All right, it looks like we are live. I know that you all have been seeing me change backgrounds. Last time I was at the Blurred Over HQ. Now I'm at what I'll call the Blurred Sunday HQ. And I gotta have my gear on, the usual Blurred Over merch and all that. So, hello everyone. My name is Kristen, aka Blurred Sunday, and I am here today with a very special guest. If you weren't at Urban NerdCon, it was actually in Montgomery, Alabama, and it was the first convention that they had in Montgomery. So I am fairly new to that city, but we have a Montgomery native, a great artist here, Mr. Ronny Creates.
Hey.
So I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Okay. So it's Ronnie. Oh, my real name is Ronald Martin, but my artist handle is Ronny Creates. Based here in Montgomery, Alabama. I go to Alabama State University. I'm the cartoonist for the Hornet Tribune newspaper over there.
Ooh.
And I'm also working on my graphic novel right now for my superhero All Star. So that's just a little bit about me and my background and what I'm into. But yeah.
Dang. That hold on now. I didn't even know this when we first met. I didn't know. I knew that like you had some projects you were working on, but you
Hmm.
got all the official titles going on and everything. And I'm just like, ooh,
Yeah.
like every time, like I feel like I go to conventions and I meet people who are like doing so much in college, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, I feel like I was living my college life, but y'all really taking off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, like I said, for those of you who aren't as familiar with Urban NerdCon, it was a black space, black nerd space
Yeah.
for us all to get to know each other. And we know of a few, like there's one in Washington D.C., there's another one in Texas,
Mm.
there's a growing space in Florida, but most times it's not as close as we like it to be. So we definitely got to get to know each other and see so much um, black excellence on the creative side at Montgomery and at Urban NerdCon. And so when we had talked, I saw that
Mm.
you had this, I want to say like the main character of a possible project that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
run. So could you talk about that? I don't know if you have like an image around. I should have brought that up first, but
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. I'll get a print.
okay, yeah, and take your time and I'll talk a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I'll grab a print.
Okay, cool. And while he's getting that, of course, I forgot to say Annyeonghaseyo, with Sunbae being in my name. That is the Korean equivalent to senpai, and Annyeonghaseyo is hello, the formal hello in Korean. I'm gonna keep learning new words, but thank you everybody for tuning in.
Okay.
Okay, let's see what you got.
So this is my character, All Star.
Oh wow.
Hmm. So in this picture, he's stopping some robbers after they rob the bank, and he's just ripping the roof off, like the roof off of their car, trying to stop them. But
Mm.
this is just one of the first looks of my character, and in the I was considering this being the cover, but I already have a cover set for the book. But this was just some of the prints that I gave out during the Urban NerdCon, and
Wow.
yeah, so that's just his
Dang.
look. Um,
Oh, that's look at the colors on that, y'all. Like, okay, first of all, yes, black excellence, black lead, black superhero, all that stuff. Stopping crying. Okay,
yeah,
yes,
yeah, yeah.
sir. So tell us a little more about that. Like, what's your inspiration behind this character and behind your project? Like, how did the idea get started?
So when I was in high school, we had this project where we had to talk about what was important to us. And so with me, my project that I decided to go with was like the the superhero myth. And so that I spoke about, you know, um, just the importance of superheroes in society and their inception and when they were created. So, you have characters like Superman. When he was first created, he was created by two Jewish immigrants, and they basically created this character to be this, champion for their cause. Because back during those times, Jewish people, they were, dealing with, the Holocaust and, um, just the stuff during the World War, II era. Like they were dealing with a lot of oppression. So when they created Superman, that was kind of like their way of showing, you know, like their champion, like their hero that they were, making for their people. And so, fast forward now, I spoke about that like in high school, and so with my character, I kind of went the same route. And so instead of it being, you know, you know, Jewish immigrants, this time it's a, black kid from Montgomery, Alabama, writing about a character who's supposed to be for his people. And so he's actually like he's a he's a character for his community, and he wants to make change in his community with his powers that he's gifted. And so I wanted him to deal with, racial issues, in regards to, um, police brutality, um, drug. What else? Hold on. Like with gang violence and just
Oh,
the different problems overarching in the community. So, but the thing is, I didn't want to just limit him to just community stuff. So once he gets bigger to the point where he can, you know, work outwards, then he'll deal with other things that are, going on in his universe and his world. So it's not just limited to the black community and the problems in the black community, but he wants to start first in his community. And
mm,
so the whole premise of this character is to basically be the change. He wants to be the change in his community. He has to
wow.
start in his community. But yeah.
Dang. Oh, that is so fire.
Mm.
What so at what point, like at what point did you start this idea?
Well, it like I said, I started in high school, so it's been like I've been working on this project for like 2 years.
Hmm.
So
Okay. It's
yeah,
good
it's
to
been a
like get
while.
that perspective of like the time that it takes because I specifically asked like how long it's been like when you started that
Hmm.
to give people like a basically a timeline. And everybody's timeline is different, of course, but I know that some people, if they don't see like immediate, like fast working, like microwave success and
Hmm.
microwave stuff, they think
Hmm.
that it's not supposed to happen and that it's
Right.
for them.
Yeah.
And people just don't know, like, you probably do have the right thing going. You just have to like continue to like
Continue to
push
go.
through. Yeah, keep
Mm.
going. Don't give up on it. It's you have to work with it and not give up on it.
Right.
And so at that time that you created it, did you have like a group of people in high school who kind of like backed it up or like supported it or like were you just like
Uh.
I'm going through this on my own or I know you had your brother with you supporting you.
Yeah. 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 My brother was there for the Urban Nerd Con, but initially, I mean, my art teacher, he was very supportive of what I wanted to do for the most part. Um, people didn't really, I mean, people at my school knew me as the art guy. I've done murals in my school. I've like painted like stuff for like class projects. Like people knew that I was the artist guy,
Hmm.
and they also knew that I like superhero stuff. But it was never like um it didn't get to the point where it is now. So it's like the support wasn't really there because nobody knew at the time that I was starting on a project like this. I
Hmm.
spoke about the character and like I had like ideas, but it wasn't like anything like solid or like set in stone. Like um, I didn't have a solid story yet. So it's like, how can somebody support something when it's not even, it's still in its baby stages, you know?
Hey, what do they call it? I'm a finance type of person, so they call them like angel investors, or like people who like
Mm,
offer up like their funds without like giving it back and things like that. Like people who like invest early on. They're always gonna be those good early on people. So
yeah.
I feel like your brother is like the angel investor, like
Oh yeah, for sure, for
the
sure.
day one believer.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang, that is so cool. Like I've always wondered, like, especially when I go through reading like different comics and manga and things, like
Mm,
how do they form the story so far ahead? Like, I mean, I'm
mm.
behind on One Piece, but a lot of people are behind on One Piece.
Yeah,
But
I
it's
haven't even started One Piece, unfortunately.
no, it's okay. I'm like not even 100 chapters in yet.
Oh
It's
my goodness.
And it's like, I guess like how you were saying, it's like, okay, you have to start with like the base,
Mm,
what your superhero is doing with the community. And you have the long term goal. And from there, it's probably going to be like milestones, would you say, to connect the dots from here to there?
mm.
Okay.
So, so the question, can you rephrase? So the question you're asking me is, um, you're asking me about the long term goals, or for the character, or what were you asking?
So essentially, how is it that take us through the mindset of connecting the dots for the story that you're building now. So helping in the community and long run, how they're gonna maybe go national, international as a superhero. Like how is it that you like bridge the gap between there? Do you kind of form it piece by piece over time, would you say, or do you kind of already have a map out plan?
Oh, okay. So for me, the way that I work, I kind of already have an idea of what I want to do. So before I even put the pencil on paper, before I even make a drawing or sketch, I always have some type of dialogue written down or something uh, saved in my notes. So in regards to him, starting with this community and then working outward internationally, it's kind of like I kind of already have the idea of where it's gonna go. So it's like with manga, with comic books, there's always the writer and then the artist, and then the writer has to like write like so much far like way far ahead so that the artist can like catch up and like make all the artwork. So for me, since I'm both the artist and the writer, it's like I kind of have the advantage of like knowing what I'm gonna make, and so it's like I kind of already know. It's like um, with in regards to say with him, starting this community. So I already know that, once he gets to a solid point with, you know, fixing and working on things in this community, the world is gonna realize like, whoa, like this that we have a real superhero and he's doing work, but we just don't know about him yet. Like we don't even know who he is. And so once the world realizes like we have a real superhero, then that's when problems, you know, are being shown. And now he's like, well, I can't just be a hero for the community. I have to be a hero for the world. So then he works outwards and deals with, supervillains and, aliens that want to come and invade, or, he just works outwards. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not just like, you know, him just being, just a small community based hero. And yeah, that's pretty much the premises of what I'm, working and building on with this character.
I like that. I mean, there's definitely an advantage, like you said, of being both like the artist and the story writer.
Hmm.
And from what you said, it's almost like the career of the superhero. Like you may
Mm,
start off like as an intern, and then you start out in the first level, and then like you progress into these things that open these other doors of opportunities, or like, Goku progressing and like people from all over the galaxy wanting to come fight him and things like that.
hmm. Yeah, yeah, or like even Spider-Man in like the movies. I mean, he started off as the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and now he's in space fighting Thanos with the Avengers.
Yes,
You
like
know,
who would have
you
thought? Like, I'm
know
just
what I'm
chilling in
saying?
my high school life, and okay, let's tussle. Who knows? Dang, that's so fire. Now,
Yeah.
as far as like how I've been hearing you talk about certain things and certain background pieces of different comics. Um, One common thing that we ask on here at Blurred Over is like, what is it that got you started? Like most of
Mm,
the time, and this is specifically not what got you started in art, but what got you started in the nerd space. You know,
okay.
we're usually exposed to like kind of the same stuff. Like we get Sailor Moon and we get DBZ and we get Batman and things like that.
Mm.
But which one of those of the nerd space realm is what really stuck with you?
So I will say, when I was a kid, my dad got me stuck on the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, like the 2000s. And so when
Hmm.
I was a kid, I was brought up on those movies, and Spider-Man was the first superhero that I like known when I was a kid, and then it just kind of like grew from there. Like I started playing more of the games and video games that came out, and then I learned about characters like the X-Men, and then that's kind of how it just expanded. And I learned about the Avengers, and but it all started with the early Sam Raimi movies, the Spider-Man movies, and I love those still to this day. Like they're like the best like Spider-Man movies to me, hands down. And
Okay, represent.
yeah, yeah. And so that's kind of how I got my start being like a nerd, like I kind of just like, I always loved Spider-Man, and then it kind of just worked out like from there as I got older. So, and then I
Hmm.
got into the comics and the different media and stuff that they had. So, yeah.
Hmm. I like that. You know,
Mm,
it's a little more rare, or let me not actually not say rare. It's more common on here for us to find, like, of course, majority of stuff in the anime space, and that may be something
mm,
that you're into as well.
mm,
But for the most part, we find people in the anime space, and we put the big question like, "What's your top three or top five?" So
mm.
instead of asking you the anime question, I'm gonna ask you, hmm, who are your top five? You can mix it up. Who are your top five Marvel heroes, or what are your top five Marvel movies?
Okay, so do I do either or like do I do both?
Either or.
Okay, so
If you want to do both, that's cool too.
okay. I would say, okay, I'm just gonna do the heroes. So I would say, um, my favorite heroes, I would have to put from Marvel and I guess I would just say Marvel and DC because I don't.
Yeah. Let's just stay in
Yeah,
Marvel and DC.
Marvel and DC. My favorite hero would be John Stewart, Green Lantern from the Justice League show.
Okay.
I love John Stewart. Um, I like Captain America. He's a cool guy. I like Captain America, Superman, and who else? I like I like Spider Man too because I mean that was like the guy that I first saw.
I was
Spider
about to say,
Man.
I'm surprised it's not the first one you said.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So some of the characters on the list are kind of like inspirations for my character,
Mm,
and so that's kind of why I named those characters first.
that makes
But
sense.
also like Blue Marvel, and he's not really a well known Marvel character, but
Y'all was like,
he's yeah, Blue Marvel. He's like um kind of like Black Superman, but not Black Superman. He's his own character, but
mm,
he's definitely on that list as well. It's just so many different characters to choose from. It's like five is just like it should be 10. It should be a list
right.
of 10. But yeah, those characters are. I think that was five. Those characters
Yeah, that was fine. That was fine. Now, on the flip side, I feel like the more interesting. Well, DC may be a little different, but for the most part, I feel like the more interesting like backstories can
Mm.
come from the villains. So,
Mm,
do you have any like villains who are like your top three or top five favorites?
for sure. Um,
He's like, I already know.
I already know. Yeah. So Killmonger, he's on that list.
Of course, yes.
Killmonger. Uh, I like I like Loki. Loki's pretty cool.
That's a good one.
Dark Side. If you know who Dark Side is,
I do
there's
not, but
oh my goodness.
you put me on though. You put me on.
Yeah. Dark Side. Uh, Doomsday.
Mm.
Uh, no, I think I need one more. One more. Where's a good villain? Let's go with Thanos. Thanos.
Ah,
Yeah,
I was like,
everybody know who Thanos is. You know who Thanos is.
yes, that's the one we all know. Um, there's a fun fact that I had about Thanos that I learned, or maybe it's not even like it's probably more common knowledge. I don't know, but there's like a old movie called like No Country for Old Men or something like that, and
Mm,
my mom has that movie, loves it, and I didn't realize that the main character of that No Country for Old Men movie is also the person who played Thanos. Didn't
mm,
know that. Like, I don't
mm.
know how old that. I mean, at least early 2000s, but
Yeah.
it's like a chase the bad guy, and this bad guy's like a real legit bad guy type of thing. Like he was
Mm,
giving the cops like some issue.
yeah.
I was like, who knew this was Thanos the whole time?
Yeah. They got them all CGI'd up and
Yeah,
purple and
I was like, what
yeah.
kind of makeup? I was like, they combined makeup and CGI. This is my mind can't comprehend that. I can't.
Yeah.
But so now another thing that you mentioned early on, when you introduced yourself, is that you are a cartoonist at your school. For you said the school Tribune.
Uh, my Hornet Tribune, my school's what's it called?
The
It's
newsletter.
yeah, newsletter basically.
Okay. So how did
Yeah.
that get started for you? Congrats, by the way. Like
Yeah.
that's
So
awesome.
I appreciate it. But so basically once I kind of knew that I wanted something to do with the arts when I got to college. And I felt like, with my particular skill, which is like doing comics and, doing sequential art, I knew that I wanted to find uh, something that had something to do with that. And so I was like, well, I mean, newspapers, they always have like the cartoons, the comic book section, the comic section of the newspaper. And I thought to myself, I said, I know for sure nobody's thinking about that comic section, and I know, newspapers are kind of like, dying off and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, if I see if they have a newspaper, then maybe they'll have like a spot available for me to, apply and to get this position because you just never know. So I found out that we have, you know, a newsletter, and I spoke to the editor, and he's brought me on board. And so, and also the funny thing is, they did have a cartoonist before, but that person, they were doing stick figures. So yeah, they were doing stick figures, and I said, if I'm doing this, I'm gonna have to get paid for this because this is like what I do. This is like I
Okay.
take it seriously. And so I had to sign paperwork, and then boom, I got the position. And
Okay.
yes, and it's really cool too because I also won best artist for the Southeast Journalism Conference that they had last
Uh-oh.
year.
Let
So
me
I
put
won
this in the
best
comments. Southeast Journalism Contest Competition.
conference.
Oh,
hmm I won best artist slash illustrator.
that is so man, you knocking it out the park. You just keep
Yeah.
like peeling back these different layers. you making opportunities for yourself. Oh my freaking goodness! Like I that I like. I'm just trying to like think through like doing it.
Mm,
Like you know your worth. You know that like this is gonna be next level. Having confidence in your art to
yeah.
be able to get paid for it. Of course, I don't
Mm,
know how you worked out the whole like let's make the contract, all that stuff, but you
mm,
did it, and I
yeah.
feel like that can be like a stopping point for like a lot of
Some people.
people. Like, oh, like maybe these steps aren't as realistic, or I don't know how it's gonna get done, or people assume it's gonna like take too much. Like,
Mm,
how do you just like, especially like as people get older, they kind of like maybe lose their like hopefulness that you have as a kid and things like that.
mm.
Not saying you're old, but I'm old. But anyway, how
Yeah.
do you get past that barrier of like, I'm going to see this all the way through? Like some people have that stopping point, like they limit themselves because they
Mm.
don't think they can do it, or they don't think it's as realistic. So what keeps you knowing that it's possible and it's realistic and it can be done?
Okay, so for me, as a kid, I've always been doing this, and I never had a plan B. When you have a plan B, you're automatically putting that doubt into your mind saying, well, this isn't going to work. But if you always have a plan A and you don't have a plan B, everything in you is gonna force the dream that you have to work. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, this is all I know, you know? It's either this or no way. So that's kind of how I've been with this. Like, I've tried being in band. I've tried, athletics. I've tried all those different things. I could have done those things, but they weren't fulfilling to me.
Mm,
And so what I've been doing, is like art. And so art has kind of been the thing that's like been fulfilling, and it's kind of been the thing that I love to do. So, and I've been doing it most of my life. So it's kind of like, why wouldn't I push as hard as I possibly can to get to this goal? Especially when I feel like when you're an artist, I feel like the cards are kind of like stacked against you. People feel like when you're an artist, it's like you're gonna be a starving artist, or like you're not gonna be able to,
yep.
find any jobs for yourself. Like everything it's in me to want to show people that you can get to these places. You just have to be consistent enough, and you have to want it enough to get to these places. And so that's kind of just what I've been working on, and you know, doing this thing with my book. And I know there's kids that are younger, and they want to make art and make comic books, or maybe make a cartoon character or do something, and they don't see people like them doing these things in these spaces. And
Right.
so I want to be able to show these kids, like, you can do it. You just have to want it enough to do it. And
Right.
so that's just the thing. Like, I've just never it never in my mind, like, I've never thought like, okay, what's plan B? Like, I no, this is it, you know? So
Mm.
that's kind of the thing that's keeping me going, because if this isn't it, then it's like, what else am I gonna do? Because this is it, you know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm forcing myself to get to these uh destinations, because it's like, if I don't get that, then, you know you know what I'm saying?
I feel what you like. You may not see it, but I'm over here like blinking, like Kristen, don't cry. Like oh my gosh, like it's amazing. Like for you to be like in college, like at that age, and have
Mm,
this amount of wisdom, like it is so
mm,
crazy. It's like low key. I needed to hear that. Like
mm,
like I really did, because I know the question like came off more geared towards like artists trying to break that certain barrier, but it's like that really is like the type of advice that goes, that's for art and and non-art people like
just
me.
life, yeah.
Like I really need that, because I mean, I used to be in music, and then I'm just like, okay, my trombone's still over there. Then I see some of my friends who like really took off in music, like concert level, playing with
Mm-hmm.
celebrities. I'm just like, ooh, you really
Yeah.
took it to the next level. Or things that I'm working on, like myself with, different avenues that I'm taking. And you hit it right on the nail when you said, don't have a plan B, because it's really so easy to get comfortable and fall back into,
Mm-hmm.
like, whether it be like what you said, like before, like the other things that you tried that weren't as fulfilling,
Mm.
or the usual, not knocking 9 to 5s, but sometimes
Yeah.
it can be
Yeah.
people's backup plan, and you get so comfortable in it that you don't really see your full potential
Yeah.
through.
You kind of stunt your growth, and I think that comes from a lot of that comes from when your parents or just loved ones, they want to see you in a safe place. They want to see you, they want to see you, working and you know, in a safe place, and that kind of can cap your potential to a certain degree. And I try my best to, take the advice and the love that family and friends give me, but at the same time, sometimes you have to know what's good for you. And so, had I listened to anybody and people that have kind of doubted my dreams or goals, I probably wouldn't even gotten far with my book or even started my book. So you just have to know what's best for you, and you have to just go in that confidently. So
I freaking love that, man. Like the future, look, the future is looking bright. Okay. I definitely love that. I was gonna say, you remind me of some things that, like, my mentor, he talks about so much. Like I said, like people fall back on so much, they don't see their full potential, and they don't really break those barriers, like to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So
yeah,
that later down the line, when like so much of it pays off, you've done that work early
hmm,
on to where you have all these opportunities to do even more.
right,
Or and relax and sit in your success. And
right.
oh, I am 28 and I'm learning so. You really don't know how much a message like that is needed
Yeah.
out there these days. So that's definitely really important. Now, another thing that I want to talk about, as you continue to branch out and grow, um, now your con experience. I think we're in a
Oh
day
yeah.
and age now where cons are like more so kind of like in the new stages, or like maybe like getting up to like over 5 years at this point.
Hmm.
And so as like cons start to be like more popular and things, like what has been your con exposure? Is Urban Nerd Con the first one ever, or like have you been in different
So
markets and art events? Like, let's talk about that.
I have been to different events and stuff like that. I've been to, I think some years ago there was a Dragon Con in Birmingham. I might be wrong. I could have sworn I went to a
In
Dragon Con in Birmingham.
Alabama Comic Con, maybe.
I don't.
Comic Con.
It's
It's so many of
it
them.
was it was yeah. It was one of them, and that one was the one of the first ones that I went to, and it was huge, and everybody was in cosplay and different people doing their things. But that was the first one. But Urban Nerd Con is the first one where I've actually been a vendor, like an artist vendor in the artist alley. So it was really cool to
Okay.
be a part of it and show people my work and stuff. So
Dang, that
yeah,
is so fire. That is so fire. Well, congrats on the first vendor spot. That's really cool.
yeah, it was cool.
And on top of like your main art, you were also like drawing people on the spot too.
Oh yeah,
How
yeah,
long
yeah.
have you been doing that?
I've kind of been doing it since high school, and high school people, they, when you're in high school, people don't have, they don't. There's some people just don't have money like that. So I kind of just would sketch people off and just sketch and then give it to people, and That's always been in me. But I feel like after high school, I kind of just like left it alone because it's just like, can you draw me? Can I get a drawing? Can you? And I didn't really. I feel like at the time I didn't really know my worth as an artist,
Mm.
and so when I came to the con, it was kind of like, well, I mean, since I don't have a book, I might as well, do some commissions and show people my talent, what all I can do. So I just, you know, decided to draw some people at the con. So it worked out really well too.
Mm. That was so far. I think when I walked past you, you were drawing some people, and I was like, okay, I
Yeah,
see you doing
yeah,
all this
yeah,
with the skills. I was like, oh shoot, next time we're at a convention together, I'm gonna have to give me one too.
yeah. I'm shoot. Let's get it.
Yes. I got one that I got actually over back here. It was one that I got from Chicago back when I had braces, so I'll definitely need an update from there.
Need the updated one.
I mean, although I love that they put like cash money signs on my braces, so it's like okay. But yeah, I'm definitely overdue for a new one now.
Okay.
Now one thing that I'm curious about as an
Mhm.
artist and like the journey of it, because I
Mhm.
know it may not all be sunshine and rainbows when you go
Oh
through
yeah.
like the trials and errors and perfecting this and that, the scene, the
Mhm.
story, the art of it. What would you say so far has been like, I guess, the best and the worst parts, or the most enjoyable and least enjoyable parts of the process of creating your art?
So, mm, the best parts for me, since I'm a visual storyteller, it's when I get to create these characters and have them in different situations where it's kind of like I'm the director and then they're the actor, even though like they're not real people. It's just like I'm drawing these scenes that could easily translate into like movies like
Mm,
if you looked at a comic book page, a lot of comic book pages, you literally could take those pages and like get real people and like recreate those pages. And so what I love to do is I love to make the scenes. I love to have the characters have dialogue or make like dramatic like action scenes in the books because it's kind of like it's just cool to do. Like I like to like make little worlds with my art, and so that's the best part about it. It's like I'm like the director and my art is like the the actors and the background and the settings. But I feel like for the worst part about it is if you're working on a big project, it's the grueling process of like trying to get it all done by yourself. If you're just like doing everything by yourself, then that's the tough part. And trying to make it in a orderly fashion, like make it like
oh
you
yeah.
don't want to take too long because then people lose interest. And so whenever you're making art, sometimes you have to take time, but that's just what art is. You just sometimes you just have to take time to like make it perfect or make it how as good as you can, you know. And
Yeah.
you can't rush the artist, you can't rush the art. So it's kind of like that's the thing. So if I had a superpower, it probably would be to multiply myself so that I can do
Uh,
more. Yeah, but
I feel you. I mean, shoot, there's success in duplication.
yeah.
That makes sense. That's perfectly understandable. Like, I'm more so like on the, numbers, accounting side of things, and like I have some friends who are like, full on into like the art realm, like making
Hmm.
different canvases and like you making different art pieces for graduation, and I'm just like, woo! And they're a one man, one woman show. I'm just like, I don't know
Yeah.
how you get through it. Like I feel like, I would have such an issue like finishing. Like starting, like you get that high motivation, but it's like, okay, like after so long, it's like, all right, I lost the spark, and it's okay. You gotta
Yeah.
push through. Like that's like you said, that's where that consistency and like continuing to go forward. Like
Mm,
that's where that certain level of professionalism comes in too, like
mm,
completing your work and like getting your art out there and things like that. So
right.
that makes sense. That
And
makes
and it's not for people that are just like, I mean, it's one thing to just do art as a hobby, but if you genuinely love it, then that grueling part is kind of enjoyable as well. So it's kind of like, you know, you can get burned out, but if you love what you do, you're just gonna take a break and then come back and
mm,
work on it some more. And so that's just kind of what it is. You have to enjoy every single moment of taking your time with it, because that's just what it is. As an artist, you
yeah,
have to enjoy it.
that makes sense. I actually you actually made me think. I forgot where the quote came from, but I heard that when it comes to success in certain things, or success in anything really,
Mm,
those hard parts that you go through is what makes success even more enjoyable. Like if it were
yeah,
easy, we wouldn't like it as much. We'd be like, oh, anybody can do it. But like when you made it through that hard part, it's like that's me. I put in that
yeah,
work. What?
exactly. Yeah, you put in that work. Yeah.
So I feel you on that. I feel you. I feel you. Um, now, in what you said, that made me curious. Now, the in going through the process of completing your work, um, and, sometimes, like you said, when you had to take a break and come back, or go through like all the different phases of doing your work.
Hmm.
Um, do you have like a certain like environment that you feel like you're most productive in, or like whether it's outside or just inside to yourself, or like maybe light a candle? I don't know. Like, what's the ideal setup to get like the creative juices flowing for you?
For me, I mean, outside is pretty cool. Um, but normally, I guess in my natural habitat of like making art, normally I probably just have like a live. I probably put on a live stream of another artist making work, and so yeah, so I'm kind of like feeding off of inspiration, watching another artist, and so now it's kind of like, okay, well he's drawing, so that means I need to be drawing. You know what I'm saying? It's like a not necessarily a reminder, because I mean I'm an artist, so it's like it's just what I do, but it's like I'm feeding off of just like inspiration. I like, now if I had the option to be around other like-minded individuals, then that would also help with the process, and also help with you know the the I guess what the word be, ambiance of it all, like the
Yeah, I feel like feng shui is what I hear.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, like you kind of get in the mood of like wanting to create when you're around other creators, or like if you're watching another creator. That's kind of how I work. Or just like if I'm just like vibing to music, and I'm vibing, and it just feels right. That's kind of the setting that I'm normally in whenever I'm making art.
Okay.
So, hmm
That's cool. I always think like for I guess just me being in Birmingham or really any place that has one of these, like I always just imagine like the typical setup, like I just get a canvas or something and I go to like the botanical gardens and I just get all this inspiration or something. Like
yeah,
I just imagine that's the ideal like artist setup. But I never know. It's always good to
mm,
get that perspective.
yeah,
Um yeah, that actually makes sense because for me, like sometimes like I watch gamers all the time, like, and this is probably like completely different. Like, but while I'm like doing Nintendo Switch, and I'm just like, man, like they making it in the gaming world, like they're doing this level, like competitive or like however they love it, they're growing so well. Like, let me get into this
mm,
Smash Bros Ultimate and
right.
wipe the floor with everybody,
Yeah,
motivate me to keep my skills up and things like that.
right.
I'm a fool.
Yeah.
now, now, actually, okay. that kind of unintentionally transitioned to another thing that I was curious about with you.
Mm-hmm.
When I just mentioned like something about skills. So, are you more so self-taught, or are there, was it art classes that really kind of like contribute to you developing over time? Um, what, or maybe are there like YouTubers that you like listen to, or like books that you go
Mm-hmm.
to develop your art over time? Like what is it that what's the origin for how you develop your art?
Well, for me, it's like I'm. I guess you could say I'm self-taught, but honestly, it's like if you're taking from other artists and you're observing and looking at different styles of art all the time, it's like you kind of have several teachers. But I haven't met these guys, so they haven't personally taught me. So I guess you could say I am self-taught, but in a way, it's like I'm not, because it's like my style is kind of based upon like several different styles of people's work, and it's kind of like an amalgamation and making my own unique, style.
Okay,
So
big words.
yeah, yeah. So that's kind of just how my but yeah, basically I'm self-taught, because like it took me looking at work and just saying, oh, I like this version of a hand, so I'm just gonna take this hand. And I like these muscles, so I'm just gonna take these muscles. And I like the way this person drew their eyes. And so it's kind of just like you kind of use what's useful and then disregard what's not.
Mm.
So that's just kind of how my style came about with comics and stuff like that. And I do have favorite artists, like favorite comic book artists like Jim Lee.
Mm.
Um, I like Todd McFarlane. Um, what other artists? Marcus the Visual. He was also at the Urban Nerd Con.
I think
Um,
I ran into
he's the Tuskegee Airs guy.
Oh yeah, duh. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, 88. He definitely knows. He definitely knows him.
hmm Yeah. So I kind of have different inspirations, and I mean, my work isn't gonna look exactly like theirs, but
Mhm.
like there's just certain things that each of those different artists uh that I like in each of those different artists. So
That makes sense. I would kind of, I guess, call it like, I mean, and I'm not inventing this phrase or anything, but kind of like grocery shopping
mm,
ideas, like you said, like, putting things together, make the right
mm,
recipe, and like,
mm-hmm.
if it doesn't work, hey, maybe it'll work in something else next time.
Yeah, yeah. That's the perfect analogy,
That
because
makes
that's kind of what I do with my work.
I feel like my only like I can't even say I'm self-taught in like certain things. Like when I was like experimenting with art, like everybody had the art teachers in middle school and everything. The closest I came to was like taking shonen jump covers and having like a sketch page next to me. I can like, let's see how good I can like kind of retrace each and go. That was
Right.
like the closest that I got to. I was like, I might be able to, art. That was a short-lived dream. Okay.
I mean, hey, you might be able to pick it back up, if you really want it, look
It's
at some
hard to break.
tutorials on YouTube, you know. And tracing is also a good form of learning how to get better as well, you know.
Oh, you gonna make my head all big. Hold on.
Yeah. I mean, you're breaking down how another artist like does layouts and how they, you know, just how they make their art, and it's kind of like you're retracing over what they've already done, but it's kind of like you're learning what they've done. You just have to be really good at it. You have to be really good at it, and then after you're like done trying to learn, you have to see, okay, can I do it without tracing? So that's just, I mean, you can if you really want to, but hey, hey,
Hey,
hey,
I might have some.
you might have to try it.
Look, I'm gonna remember this conversation when I started to. Like, look at me with the look at this Picasso. I like it.
Right, right. Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. And I guess like to build more on top of like the whole self-taught,
Mhm.
aspect of things. Have you changed any like part of your style over time, or have you kept it pretty consistent since you started?
Um, you know, growing up, there was always some change, and if there isn't a change, then it's kind of like there's no progression. And so for me, I can look back at work that I did 2 years ago, and I can tell that my work has changed. So it's just like you just want to get better and make sure that um, you're happy with what you're producing, and whether like I just try to make sure my work is anatomically correct. Like, does it look accurate? Like, does that look like human body? Like, you know, uh, just different things. Like, did you draw that building right? Did you know what I'm saying? So like I always make sure that my stuff is like progressively, getting better. And so yeah, so to answer your question, I have seen some changes in my work just simply because I want to get better.
Mm.
So yeah.
Dang, I'm learning so much from this. Like,
Mm,
like, like I said before, like there's so much that you have to offer with your insight that you've gained in the art that you've done. Like there's so many like moral lessons to it in the journey of it. And I think that's something, of course, that like I appreciate, you
mm,
appreciate. And I think that's like one of the most important things about having this blurred over platform. It stands for
hmm.
Black Nerd Takeover for
Right,
sure.
exactly.
And to have something like this and get inspired by it, like it's good to see that it has those core lessons that you can apply like you know on a regular day life.
Mm,
I don't know if it has like those additional pieces, like you have these different things that your art applies to your everyday life. So actually, let's talk about that. As far as like the art that you make and the journey and the process of it all,
mm,
um how would you say it benefits you um overall on a day-to-day basis, like with any other part of your life, like the lessons that
mm,
it may give you, like discipline maybe, or just throw something
mm.
out there, like what are some other things for you?
Discipline definitely, because it's like for this book, you have to be disciplined to get things done. Like for me, I try to make sure I get a page done a day, and if not a
Mm,
day, then at least 2 days. Like I try to, since I'm doing everything myself, I have to force myself and push myself and be disciplined enough to say, hey, if you're not doing anything right now, you should be drawing.
mm,
So that's kind of that discipline does help. And also I'd say in regards of just like for me, art is kind of like my way of like letting things like out. Like it's a way of um therapy. So like if I have like a tough day or whatever, it's like, okay, let me go draw something, or let me finish up this page real quick. And so it's just like a way of me like uh letting out whatever's going on a certain day. And so discipline, it's uh what's the word I'm looking for? Uh just I guess you could say mental health in a certain way. Like if I
yeah, like it's a release. It's
yeah, like it's a release. Like also it's kind of like if I go like days without drawing, like I don't know, I just don't feel right. Like I just need to have like something like so it's kind of just a mixture of all of that. So
hmm. I really like that piece to what you said, as far as like it being, well, of course I like all of it, but saying like it's something that's therapeutic for you, because I
mhm,
was I was wondering if like you never know how people can look at that transition from art being a hobby to art being like, you know, more on the work side now.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes they can change like people's view of it in an aspect that enjoyment factor to it. And so like it sounds like you keep in mind that, hey, this is not, I mean, it kind of is something that like, you have to do, but like it's more so like I get to do it. This is something that's fun for me. This is something that I want to do and I enjoy it. And as far as the work side, it's something that I can share with other people and have them
Exactly.
enjoy it as well,
Yeah.
which adds on top of, the happiness that it may bring.
Mm.
Um, and that makes a lot of sense. Like, I was wondering like about what may keep you accountable, but it sounds like you already have like a good sense of self accountability.
Mm.
Am I correct on that, maybe? Or
Yeah, you're
okay.
correct, and then like I said before, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, it goes back to me telling myself like, okay, well, if there's no plan B, then this has to be done. You know what I'm saying? It has
That's
to be done.
right.
So it's like, you know, being an artist, that this is what I want to do. If this is what I want to do, there's no shortcuts. There's no, you know, there's I mean there are breaks, but it's like I can't just like slack off, if this is what I want to do. Like say for an example, you have LeBron James, he's a basketball player. If he doesn't practice, if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, if he's not holding himself accountable,
Mm,
then he's not going to perform like he's supposed to. Same way with me. I mean, if I don't work on my stuff, if I don't, practice and sketch like I'm supposed to, or you know, stay on, my projects and, finish, then there isn't anything there. I can't produce any work. I'm not going to be able to produce any work and put anything out so that people can see it. So it's all about, discipline and telling yourself like you can do it and that you can keep going, especially if you're passionate about it. You
mm,
probably wouldn't even have to tell yourself that you need to keep going if you're passionate. You just got to do it anyways. So,
mm.
yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Like it can all be so simple. Oh, can you hear me properly? It started to be a little staticky. I just wanted to check.
I can hear you, but you're starting to sound static too.
Okay. Hmm.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it just happened like 2 minutes ago. Let me see. Give me
It might
one
be my
second.
phone.
This happened at the end of at the other interview too. Let me see. I know thunderstorm. Well, it's thundering, but I didn't think it hit yet.
I don't know. I mean, I can still hear you, but
Okay, I can hear you too, but I think it started to clear up a little bit. Well, I mean, at least we made it to the end of the hour.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna end this on two things. We're gonna push through this thing.
Okay, we can push through it.
Yes. So one or two things. I know that as an interviewer, there may be things that I ask that may not fully shine on something that you may have wanted to talk about. So I kind of wanted to check: is there anything from what we talked about that you want to re-emphasize to the audience, or that we might not have mentioned that you're looking forward to saying?
Mm. Um. So I guess in regards to my character, I just wanted to put out that well, not just my character, but just like my Instagram, just in case people want to check me out.
That was
you
gonna
know.
be my second question. So plug
Okay.
yourself.
Okay. Yeah, so it's just like I kind of put out updates on my character and my book, and I try not to show too much because I don't want to just spoil my, my book and my project. But at the same time, I put just enough out so that people can see that I'm working on it and that, you know, that I just want people to tune in. So, my Instagram is Ronny Creates. Same thing, no spaces. Ronny, RONNY Creates. And I think that's pretty much it. Um,
No spaces. I'm typing it out so it now shows on our YouTube and Twitch page too.
cool, cool.
Yes. And as far as like this year or like anything else going forward, like is there a place where people can find you either in person, maybe like, or maybe they can find you on campus, like, what can people look forward to seeing from you? Are you going to make like other appearances as a vendor, or like, what's coming up for you?
So as of now, I'm kind of just like I don't have a solid deadline for this graphic novel yet because it's still progress. But I know next year I'm definitely gonna be a vendor again for the Urban Nerd Con.
Yes, sir.
And yep, because it was awesome this year. So I do plan on coming next year. And um, I don't really know anything else. I don't really have any other news. But if you keep tabs on me and you know follow my social media, then you'll know when my book and my project drops. So
Yes. Well, we'll definitely be looking forward to it, and who knows what opportunities may come. I mean, shoot, for me, I didn't know that I'd be here, being able to be on this platform to, let more people know about, the Black excellence that's out here creating it up. So
yeah.
who knows? See you on the cover of a magazine.
Right, you never know.
Yes. And with that being said, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to listen to this interview with Ronny Creates. I'm so happy that you came on, spent your time with me to talk about like the things that you have going on and let people know, who you are, of course. As far as like, everyone who's tuned in or who will tune in for the recording that's coming out. Oh yeah, don't worry about being late, King Pac-Man. Hey, it's all good. It's gonna be out there. This video isn't going anywhere. But just a couple of announcements. Of course, there's more content coming from Blurred Over. You definitely want to see more, of course, of me. And Skip.88 is coming back on. You're gonna see him back from a lot of just being an adult. So he's
Okay.
getting back into the groove of things. You're gonna see more of his stuff on the social media pages as well. And speaking of him, be sure to watch the Blurred Over documentary, which tells you about the story of the founder of Blurred Over and how it's developed over the past few years since 2019 to now. And you can see us just as regular con goers at the next convention for us, which will be Dragon Con. So that'll
Yeah.
be a huge thing for us. I'm nervous. That's my first one. I heard it's pretty overwhelming, but we're gonna get through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just gonna stay safe and healthy. And with that
Yeah.
being said,
Please do.
yes, yes. Please get your vitamin C, get your immunity, this and that. I got something for my immunity health. I'm gonna drink this one down. We're gonna keep the vitamins in, all of that good stuff.
Right.
But until next time, y'all, stay tuned for the next one. We love y'all. And be safe in this storm, I guess, we're going through the city. We'll see. Bye.
Oh my God.